Hello, and welcome to the Night Sky Reader. I'm here with a story to help you relax, meditate, or gently drift to sleep. Tonight, the Loom Room After Dusk. Settle in, close your eyes if you'd like, and let's begin. The door to the Loom Room opens with a soft resistance, and you step across the threshold into a pool of amber light that holds itself apart from the evening house. The hour has settled past dusk. Outside, the day exhales its last effort, but here the air carries a different quality, warm and contained, smelling faintly of beeswax and dry fiber. You close the door behind you. The sound is muted, a gentle click that seals the perimeter of your attention. The floorboard yields beneath your weight with a familiar creak, a small greeting from the wood. Ahead, the loom waits, already dressed with warp threads stretched white and even through the heddles, ready for the evening's work. To your right, a row of smooth wooden bobbins stands beside a spool of beeswaxed thread, their surfaces polished by the oils of previous nights. You notice a faint chalk mark on the cloth beam, a small horizontal line drawn earlier to indicate where you hope to finish, a modest goal that now seems both distant and somehow beside the point. The first soft knock of the shuttle against the breastbeam reaches your ears, though you have not yet begun. It is only the settling of wood cooling from the day's temperature, yet it sounds like a quiet answer to the whole day. A lamp burns steadily on the side table, its flame enclosed in frosted glass, casting shadows that lean gently against the wall. You set down your cup, ceramic clicking against wood, and the hollow sound expands in the hush, then fades, leaving room for the deeper silence underneath. You approach the loom and extend your hand, touching the warp with open fingers. The threads resist evenly, holding a slight vibration of potential energy. They are dry to the touch, clean, ordered. Your hand moves along the breast beam, finding the smooth wood grain, feeling the faint accumulation of dust that has gathered since your last session, a testament to the room's stillness. Settling onto the bench requires a shift of weight, a negotiation between your body and the wooden seat that has shaped itself to your form over months of evenings. You test the treadles one at a time, the wooden levers responding with a slight creak, a mechanical sigh. The harnesses shift above, the heddles clicking softly as they separate and create the shed, that triangular tunnel through which the Weft will pass. You reach for the shuttle. It rests in its tray, a small boat of polished wood, and you lift it, feeling its weight balanced in your palm. The bobbin within is wound with weft thread, ready to unspool. You trace the path in your mind, through the shed, across the warp, catch, change, beat. You check the reed, the metal comb that will press each new thread into place, noting the way the lamplight catches on its grid. Your fingers find the first few inches of cloth already wound onto the beam, and you smooth it, feeling the texture of the plain weave, the interlacing of warp and weft that has already become fabric. Your eyes move to the chalk mark on the beam. You estimate the distance, calculating how much farther you could go if you maintain a steady pace, if the rhythm comes easily. The mark stands white and expectant, drawn in the afternoon when your mind was still full of the day's momentum. In lamplight, it seems less like a finish line and more like a suggestion, one you may accept or quietly ignore as the night unfolds. You place your feet on the treadles, right foot on the right pedal, left hovering above the left. The room has grown fully around you now, the walls receding into shadow beyond the lamp's reach, the window a rectangle of darker dark where night has pooled against the glass. A draft touches your cheek, cool and faint, carrying the scent of evening from outside, but the loom creates its own climate, a pocket of warmth and focus. There is nothing left to arrange. The bobbins stand ready. The warp is tensioned. The shuttle waits in your hand. You have checked the heddles, the reed, the beam, the chalk mark. The preparation has been a kind of ritual, a series of gestures meant to invite calm, but a slight tightness remains across your shoulders, your mind still moving forward to the completion of the mark, the measurement of progress, the proving of the evening's worth through visible output. You press the right treadle down. The harnesses shift, the shed opens, a clean triangle of space appearing between the upper and lower warp threads. The wood creaks, a joint settling into place. You send the shuttle through. It glides, a smooth motion carried by the tension of the warp, traveling from your right hand to your left, thread paying out behind it, the bobbin spinning inside its boat. Your left hand catches the shuttle without hurry, fingers closing around the cool wood. You press the left treadle. The harnesses change position with a soft clack. The shed closes above the thread you have just laid. Now the reed. You lean forward, hands on the beater bar, and draw it toward you. The comb catches the new thread and presses it firmly against the woven cloth already gathered on the breast beam. A soft knock of wood against wood, a definite sound, a full stop at the end of a sentence. The weft settles into place, one thread pressed among hundreds, one line added to the growing fabric. You repeat the sequence. Treadle down. Shed opens, shuttle glides through the gap, left hand catches, left treadle down, shed changes, reed comes forward with that soft wooden beat. The rhythm establishes itself quickly, a three-part cadence that begins to fill the room, the mechanical shift of the harnesses, the whisper of the shuttle traveling, the thump of the reed. Your feet find the pedals without looking, pressing and releasing. Your hands move in an economy of motion, releasing the shuttle with only enough force to carry it across, receiving it with fingers already soft. The sounds layer. The creak of the treadles underfoot joins the clack of the heddles above. The shuttle's glide across the warp creates a dry susurration, and then the reeds beat, dull and satisfying. You watch the selvages, the edges of the cloth where the weft turns and returns, easing the thread just enough before each beat to keep the line clean and square. But even as the rhythm begins, you find yourself counting. Not the threads themselves, but the passes. You glance at the cloth beam after every few picks, comparing the growing roll to the white chalk mark, calculating the remaining distance, assessing whether you are moving fast enough. The motions are calming, the repetitions steady, but your mind hovers above them. Your shoulders stay slightly raised. Your jaw carries a set borrowed from another part of the day. The wood feels warm now where your hands grip the shuttle. The thread slides against your knuckles, dry and slightly rough, grounding you in the physical act even while your attention races ahead. You pause. The shuttle rests in your right hand. The beater bar waits in its forward position. In the sudden stillness, you become aware of how often you have measured with your eyes instead of simply weaving. You look at the chalk mark again, really look at it, and notice how small it appears in the lamplight, a thin white line on wood, nothing more. You rest your hands on the breastbeam. The wood is smooth, slightly warm from friction. You do not move for several breaths, listening to the room, to the house settling, to the faint hum of the lamp, to the silence that is not empty but full of potential. Your jaw releases, a tension you had not tracked until it goes. Your shoulders drop a half-inch, and the breath that follows reaches further down, slower, finding its depth. The cloth in progress feels modest against the beam, plain, unassuming, and suddenly, enough. The chalk mark is still there, but something in your body has already answered it. A choice, not a command. You choose to return. You place the shuttle again in your right hand, but your grip is softer. You do not look at the mark. You look at the shed, the triangle of space opening and closing. You press the treadle, and the harnesses shift with their familiar clack. But this time you hear the nuance in the sound, the particular wooden note that belongs to this loom, to this night. Now the motions come from the body rather than the mind. Your feet find the treadles without planning. Your hands guide the shuttle by the habit stored in your wrists and forearms. The reed swings forward and back with that muted wooden note, and you do not count the beats. You feel them. You feel the slight resistance as the comb presses against the weft, the way the new thread nestles against its neighbors, the quiet weight of cloth gathering on the beam. You stop checking the beam. Instead, your attention widens to include the room itself as part of the pattern. The lamp circle on the floor, a pool of gold burning without urgency, the shadows of the harnesses shifting gently on the wall behind the loom as the shafts rise and fall, the hush that settles between passes, where sound has just been. The rhythm continues. Treadle, shuttle, catch, change, beat, settle. The sounds have become a lullaby, not sung but enacted, a sequence of small percussions that mark time without demanding anything from it. Your breathing slows to match the pace of the loom. The smoothness of polished wood settles into your palms as a constant sensation. The thread brushes your wrist with each pass. The accumulated weight of cloth pulls gently at the structure of the loom, a tension that is held, not fought. Time becomes softer. The hour before the pause had seemed long, measured in assessments and calculations. Now time pools like lamplight, losing its directional arrow. You do not know how many picks have passed since you stopped counting, nor do you need to. The cloth is growing. You can feel it in the slight resistance of the beater, in the accumulated density of hundreds of interlacings, in the beam's increasing weight. At a natural interval, when the woven section has grown too long to beat efficiently against the breast beam, you release the brake. The ratchet clicks softly as you lift the pawl. You wind the cloth forward onto the cloth beam, turning the wooden handle with a steady motion. The woven fabric rolls up, layer over layer, folding into itself. You hear the quiet shift of tension as the unwoven warp advances from the back beam, coming into the workspace, offering itself to the shuttle. The new length stretches forward, white and ready. This winding on is the gentle climax of the night, not triumph but confirmation. While you were no longer chasing progress, progress happened. The cloth gathered itself without your anxious supervision. You simply note that there is more cloth on the beam than there was before, and that is sufficient, and that is all. You return to the rhythm. Treadle, shuttle, catch, change, beat, settle. The room holds you. The shadows have grown longer. Something settles again, quietly, like the last few leaves coming off a branch after the wind has passed. You weave a last short section, a length that feels complete not because it reaches the mark, but because the rhythm has arrived at a natural resting point. You let the shuttle come to rest in its tray, the bobbin still full, ready for tomorrow. Your hands lift away from the beater bar and smooth over the newly woven surface, feeling the texture, the regularity, the slight irregularities that mark this as handwork rather than machinery. You feel the cloth, warm from the friction of the reed, faintly fuzzy from the fiber, real and present under your fingertips. You lift your feet from the treadles, and the loom goes fully still, the harnesses settling into their neutral position with a final soft clack. The room grows immediately quieter, a silence that expands to fill the space where mechanical sounds had been. The loom holds the cloth now. The beam carries what has been made. The remaining warp waits calmly for another night, another continuation of this same simple pattern. You stand, your legs unfolding from the bench, and the floorboards receive your weight with the same creak they offered upon arrival, gentler now, a farewell rather than a greeting. You step back from the lamp's circle, watching the shadows shift and settle into new configurations. You leave the loom room not finished with everything, but finished enough. The door closes behind you with the same soft resistance with which it opened, sealing the amber light and the patient loom inside, keeping the rhythm safe until you return. The house is quiet around you, the night deep and welcoming. Something in your body has loosened, a tightness released so gradually, you only notice it now in its absence. The cloth gathers quietly on the beam in the low lamplight, a modest roll of woven material, while the remaining warp stretches back into the shadows, patient and ready, holding space for the next evening, the next pass, the next long, unhurried hour of weaving at night. Thank you for spending this time with the Night Sky Reader. May your night be peaceful. Until next time, rest well.